podcast is about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. And we'll talk about your new record as well that just came out, Infinite Youth.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
Very cool, man. From New Zealand, I did read.
New Zealand, that's right.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here now in New Zealand. In Auckland. I live in the city centre, and this is my little studio where I work
Very
at.
cool.
Um, yeah, it's a really cool spot to live in, and I feel very lucky to be part of this music scene here because I think um, people here make very cool music, and I am proud to be involved with that. And yeah, no, it's been a weird year, obviously, for
Sure.
everybody.
Yeah.
But for the most part of this year, we've been COVID free, so we've been able to play gigs at full capacity and live life
Yeah. You
normally.
guys have been pretty much going business as usual, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And we've just extended our borders to Australia now, so we can actually travel internationally.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah, which is crazy. I was just there last week playing shows, so it's quite cool. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for it, but it's like it's all opening up. Yeah.
I know. It's like one of those things we've all been waiting for, and then it's gonna happen here soon, or hopefully it's happening here soon. And it's like what do we do? Like, this is weird.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
all like,
Exactly.
yeah. It's cool though, man. I mean, yeah, I did see that New Zealand had been open for quite some time, and I've interviewed a handful of artists from Australia and people down in Perth, especially. They were like, going full capacity for a while too, because they're so south uh, of everyone, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's amazing. I feel very lucky to we just like last week a band was playing at a stadium show with 50,000 people or something. And it was just
Oh
like
wow.
yeah, it's just like quite it's seems like normal life, but I know that most of the world doesn't have the same luxuries.
Sure, for sure, for
Mm,
sure. Well, that's
mm.
amazing. I mean, that's amazing that you're able to play shows, you're able to travel. I mean, that's pretty incredible. That's definitely
Yeah,
positive news for most people, I'm sure.
yeah, it's amazing. I feel very lucky. So yeah, New Zealand is a cool spot to be at the
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah, well, they're really cool as far as how much they embrace the arts as well in New Zealand. From what I interviewed the band The Naked and Famous who are from there, and they're
Oh,
telling me they've
cool.
got a pretty similar experience to other artists that I've interviewed in like Canada, where you guys have a lot of music grants and stuff that'll help fund
Definitely.
local artists and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, they're amazing. I think the government pours a lot of investment into the arts because I think they've realized that eventually it actually kind of um, turns around and is good for the country as a whole
Hmm.
because I mean I'm sure you've heard of the Lord of the Rings and
Oh yeah.
probably
Wait, what
yeah.
is it?
I mean, like Peter Jackson is a director who grew up cutting his teeth in New Zealand, and then
Uh-huh.
there's other directors like Taika Waititi who's making Marvel movies and all of these things, and like um who's benefited from these sorts of arts grants, and like people
Hmm.
bands like the Naked and Famous who are doing amazing things overseas, and um yeah, it's very lucky. And this album that I've just made has been funded by the government, which is
Oh really?
uh, yeah, which allowed me to like spend time on it and get it right. So yeah, it's
That's so cool.
pretty amazing.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to hear all about that. So, how did you get into music originally?
I got into it just like as a teenager, I think. I started learning drums when I was like 11 or 12, and then eventually transitioned to playing guitar. And I kind of had this like um revelation moment. I don't know, this pinpoint moment where I can see like, wow, that was like where I realized like how powerful music was and how much I loved it. And it was like my cousin showed me like a Beatles song for
Hmm.
the first time, and I don't know, it just like spoke to me on like a very deep level when I was just like a kid.
What Beatles song?
The song "Because," do you know that song?
Yeah.
On every road. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like it was just so the harmonies and the lyrics and it just really spoke to me like and it kind of you I realized that like music can is like kind of an emotion that you can't is oblique you can't really
Mhm.
talk about or like and it can talk about things that are unspoken perhaps and so yeah it was like quite a meaningful and then from there I was like a Beatles head for the rest of high school and like
That's awesome.
um eventually just started playing in bands and touring and doing learning the ropes of recording and yeah.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. Well, when you started off at drums, were you in a band at all then, or it didn't start till you're in high school?
I was in a band, yeah, when I was like we were like 12 or so and we would just play covers.
Like,
But
and
then
ever out, or was it just like a fun thing that you guys would do in the garage or something?
yeah, it was just a fun thing and I think we would just play at like school concerts and things. Um
That's cool.
yeah, it was super fun. And then eventually I started a band, like a post-punk band in high school. When I started writing songs and doing bits and bobs and yeah.
Okay. So you started writing in high school when you started playing
Yeah,
guitar?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I've just found like guitar was like super fun because unlike the drums, I could like watch TV or walk around carrying it, and like it didn't feel like practice anymore. You know, I kind of wanted to just like be learning David Bowie songs and while I like sat at the table, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a very liberating thing.
Okay. And when did you
Mm.
start? So you started writing quickly after learning guitar, or is it, or
Yeah,
okay.
pretty quickly. Um, yeah, and then eventually started getting into recording demos, and that kind of turned into this, I guess.
Oh
Hopefully.
wow. Okay. Well, you have a record before this one that you just put out. How
Mm,
long?
mm.
Like, how late? I mean, how old were you when Swordfish came out?
How
Like
old
out of
was
high
I?
school? Like, I mean,
Mm, I think so. So I was in high school, and then like when I was 17, I moved. I grew up in like like in Tauranga, which is like a small little beach town in New Zealand.
mhm.
Um, and then when I was 17, I left school and moved to Auckland, which is where I live now, which is our biggest city.
Okay.
One, one, 1 million people, huge city.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I just started playing in bands, and we did like lots of international touring and different
Wow.
things. And but I all the while I was just like writing in the background, for my own project.
So did you join a band that was already kind of doing
Yeah,
stuff? Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Tell me about that a
exactly.
little bit then.
Yeah, it was a band called Tom Lark, and the main guy, um, was kind of yeah. We just like were kids, but he was doing quite well, and like I remember we did a few big Australian tours, and then came over for CMJ. Do you remember CMJ
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day in New York? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so we did like New York and LA, and then eventually I
Wow.
started. Yeah, it was super fun. And then like I joined another band called Fazerdaze, which was also doing quite well at the time, and is still doing really great. And we did lots of big European tours in America. Yeah, super fun. And like and then I had a internship at a recording studio here in New Zealand, which is where I started to sort of learn how to record. And so like I was growing these two sides of the thing, like of live performance and recording, and like all the while in the background working
Like
on songs that
your own
became
songs.
that became Swordfish. And so I think um I think it was I would have been like 23
Okay.
or 4 when Swordfish came
Oh,
out.
okay. Yeah. So you were
Yeah.
already kind of professionally playing music as far as, but you weren't like the main guy when you're in the
Mm.
other bands. You were kind of like just like a guitar player or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Got you. And
Exactly.
then and you always writing your own project kind of in the background. And then tell
That's
me
the
about
one.
this. So you get this internship because you wanted to go into recording.
Well, yeah, it was just a total fluke. alongside all of that, I was studying at university. I was studying politics, and I got really heartbroken at one point and like quite depressed, um, and like really struggled with working, and so I took a break, and then in the middle of that break, I got offered this internship at this recording studio, which was like just a absolute like miracle because most people have to study to become audio engineers before they get anything like that. And it was like it's our best studio, the best studio we have in New Zealand, and it's owned by Neil Finn from Crowded House, who's now
Wow.
in who's now in Fleetwood Mac, of all bands. And so yeah, and so that was amazing. And I was there for a year and just kind of like you say, I wanted to learn how to record so that I could eventually go do my own thing.
Okay, that's amazing. Wow. Okay,
Mm.
and so you kind of just fell into this internship,
Mm.
and were you able? So you were able to record that first record, Swordfish. What kind of like as you were learning the ropes of recording? So these are
Yeah,
songs that you kind
basically.
of had, and you were just kind of working on them as you were learning.
Well, yeah, I think like I was writing them at the studio. Like the sessions would start at 9 a.m. every morning, but I would have to be there at 8 to, clean the toilets and get the coffee machine all ready and coil cables. But I would arrive at 7 so that I could write before everyone shows up, and then late at night at 10 p.m. when everybody's gone and we're packed up, then I would also stay back and do more writing. Yeah, so I think I was
Oh,
writing most of it, and then while I was making the album, and then when I left is when I kind of started building my home little studio, and that's where I recorded Swordfish.
wow. Okay. So you recorded Swordfish at your home studio now currently. Got.
A different studio, but yeah.
But you
I
recorded
did.
it. You didn't record it at the studio that you were working at.
Nah, I did
Got you.
Swordfish like just very DIY, and it was kind of like I like wrote it and performed it and produced it and mixed it. I did like everything on that album myself, just as just as a way to like prove to myself that I could do that if I wanted to. And like if I had like no gear or no money or nothing, I could still make an album if I really wanted to.
That's amazing.
So
And
it's, yeah, so,
did you go out, were you ever like playing these songs live, or were you still just kind of playing in these other bands? Or like how did Merk really get off the
mm.
ground?
Yeah, I think I eventually like Merk stuff got too busy, so I had to stop playing in other bands. I do miss it occasionally playing in other bands. Like the other night even I had a dream where I was like just a guitarist in a band, and like I got like my pedal board all like nicely set up, and I was like learning the parts just perfectly and playing them right. But like I think I was like stressing about this tour that I have coming up, which is like when you're like the front person or a solo artist, you kind of have to be across every single
Mhm.
element of a thing and literally be building every element, which is super fun and very rewarding. But like sometimes I miss the simplicity of just like strumming away in the background,
Sure.
Yeah. No, but to answer your question, like yeah, eventually Merc stuff got too busy, and with shows and touring, and so I stepped out of playing for other people's groups, and like yeah, just like did like some Europe shows and then Australia shows. And we were heading to the States for South by Southwest 2020, but that got
Oh, okay.
yoinked completely. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So you were ready to come out to the States to play at South by Southwest when COVID hit?
Yeah. We had a whole tour planned, and then a Europe tour, and then another US tour planned. And like that would be the album release kind of trajectory. But like it was like 3 days before we were flying when COVID kind of really hit and South by got cancelled, and so we were like, it was all a bit chaotic, really.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And that did that throw at this point, did you have this new record ready?
Mm,
Or
mm,
so that's what you're
yeah.
talking about? That okay, the trajectory of putting out the new album was gonna go on this tour cycle. Like you're gonna be here playing, and then the record come out and you'd be
Hmm.
in Europe and then back to the States. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. Okay.
Exactly.
So this whole album was done in the can, and but you weren't able to really release it until what, last month?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. Okay.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. So were these songs was it all completely finished?
It was completely finished. Yeah, it was ready to come out, and like, so we were kind of going over to like, we had like label interest in the States and different things, and so we were kind of going over. I was going over to like, you know, sell the record, I guess, like kind of be able to help find some help to in putting it out,
Mhm.
and obviously because we couldn't go over there, that just never really eventuated, and so we kind of last year, amid all the lockdowns and different things, had to like step back for a minute and make a new plan, which was like um, to put it out, yeah, through my manager's label, and so kind of doing it DIY style a little bit, and yeah, and that's been awesome. I've actually been really stoked with that outcome.
Okay. Well,
Mm,
wow, that must have been pretty crushing though. I mean, you have this record ready and you're ready to do this tour and come and play South by and talk to me about
definitely.
that. I mean, that must have been
Yeah.
quite a moment.
Yeah. I think at first my initial reaction was like, you know, full of like adrenaline and like survival, kind of just be like, it's okay, it's fine. Like,
Right.
it's all good. We're gonna like, just like everybody else is like screwed over by this too. And like, I'm all good. I'm fine. And, but, eventually kind of come to terms with the fact that it did suck a
Mhm.
lot, and like that it did kind of really put a spanner in the works, and so that kind of was like a slow burner, that kind of realization and that disappointment seeping in, and like something that I kind of had to work through last year, but
Mhm.
yeah, I it got to a point where I was like, actually, yeah, pretty stoked with this outcome, so it's
That's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Mm,
You talked about how it was you were able to apply and get one of the grants to put the
mm,
record out. What's that
mm.
process like?
It's like, so I've got some funding which is like um for making an album, and so they kind of support you, um and invest in your album, and like to help you with the recording and the promotion of it, and I think you can also make use that funding to make some music videos and different things. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, really,
Do you have to
like,
like prove yourself as like a legitimate artist? I mean, like I'm
yeah.
sure you can't just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a record" and have no talent whatsoever,
No,
right?
yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of, you have to, they have like different tiers of funding, and like starting with just like the recording of a song, and then maybe, and then like the recording of a song and a music video, and then like up to like making an album. And so like I think this is kind of like the big one that they do. And so
Got it.
it was quite like a, I've like had a few years relationship with New Zealand On Air, who um distributes the funding, and I think they kind of, you kind of have to be known a little bit by them, maybe just to like, yeah, like you say, prove that you are an
Yeah.
artist and you have a track record, and like that, like their investment isn't going to go into booze or like
Right. That's what I'm
whatever, like,
thinking.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
just some kid in this basement can't just be like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video and a song. So let's
Yeah.
see if I can get the government to fund it.
I mean, hey, there's not that much difference between what you just said and what I do here, but
But obviously there is when it comes to the product.
yeah, yeah, true. I mean,
You
yeah,
know.
but in principle, I make the music videos in here as well, and like do the recordings in here. So but it means that I can survive and like
Sure.
have the proper amount of time needed to like make any good thing,
Mhm.
um, which is like so fortunate. I know that, like, I think like to make good art, we need, like, artists need like a certain level of security, and like
Right.
and time and a space to do their work. So I'm super grateful for the like funding that we received.
like I said, yeah, like New Zealand and Canada are the two I've heard that are just so supportive of the arts, which is like
Mm-hmm.
here they don't. If you tried to ask for money in the States, they just laugh at you and be like, "Really?
Oh
Okay."
man.
Yeah, there's no
uh,
way. But there, I mean, it's amazing that how much it's really embraced.
yeah, it's super cool. I think
Mhm.
some European countries are similar,
Okay.
do similar things. But yeah, I don't know. It's amazing that they see that so much value in investing in the arts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally agree. Was it hard to sit on these songs for such a long time?
Uh, it was hard. Like because the making of it actually took quite a while, and so to like for it to be delayed was a bit of a punish. But I was pretty busy, like outside of this stuff. Like so I have Merk as my recording and solo project, but
Hmm.
I also do like music production and composition and stuff. And so
Oh, okay.
a lot of last year I was actually working on a um feature film soundtrack in here. So like
Wow.
a New Zealand feature film. So like yeah, I was like it was like I was able like pretty fortunate to like have time to like work on that side of my
Uh-huh.
career, I guess. And so like which I wouldn't have had time for otherwise. And so and I got
Sure.
got to hit some milestones in that world. So yeah, that was pretty cool. That was
How is
pretty
that?
cool.
Yeah, that must be a totally different muscle to work in the music realm, right? Writing like a film score because it's just you're just writing off of what's happening cinematically, right?
Definitely, yeah, I did. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely different. I was doing it alongside my friend Marlon Williams, who and we were just figuring it out as we go along. And we're both songwriters, and so like the learning curve for us was to kind of like, um, I mean, when you're a songwriter, you're making the medium is just music, and so you kind
Hmm.
of have to make music that's big enough to kind of fill a space. Whereas like when you're writing music for film, you like can't write music that's too big because you're going to
Hmm.
be like stealing away from the story or like
Right,
um
the dialogue or whatever.
exactly all the characters you're kind of like going to be like, whoa, check out this sick chords movement that I'm
Yeah.
doing. But yeah, so the lesson was kind of like how do you kind of support the story through music,
Hmm.
um and be like have like a creative input and like have a voice in there but without kind of overpowering it. And yeah, I don't know, it was a very fun learning experience
That's
for sure.
amazing. Is that something you'll continue to pursue?
Yeah, well, I think I just finished another job as well, so I've had two jobs in a row. So hopefully I get to do more.
That's
That'd
awesome.
be fun.
Yeah, and hopefully, well, you sounds like you're already being able to kind of support this record. What was it like finally getting out and playing the songs?
Super cool, super cool. Yeah, in the middle of kind of doing that, and we're about to start the New Zealand leg of the tour, which will be super fun. But playing in Australia last week was really special. Just to be in a room with overseas and like playing music was pretty. Yeah, I forgot how much I missed it.
Where's the crowd like beyond excited to be there? I can't
Yeah,
even imagine. Like I think people are
y-
just gonna lose it here when
yeah,
it
yeah.
comes back.
I think we like sold out our show in Melbourne, which was like a first for me. And I think just people were just really keen to get outside and see music again. So it was like, yeah, it was super special, and everyone was very excited. And for many people, it was like their first gig back. So
Yeah.
super
Wow.
cool.
I know.
Mm,
What a, you know, big part of somebody's life. I mean, they've been sitting around, sitting inside for over a year, and you're the
mm,
first artist they get to
mm.
see, in a live space. That's huge.
I know it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That is amazing. I'm stoked for you, man. I'm stoked that you're able to tour and play, and hopefully everything will
Thanks.
open up here sooner than later. I mean, looks like shows are being booked for the fall, and
That's so cool.
Fingers
Yeah, he's
crossed.
hoping.
Yeah, I mean, this has been quite a wild ride. I mean, obviously nobody expected it to last nearly as long as it has.
Uh-uh.
It was
Uh-uh.
like 2 weeks, we'll flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Well, yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for chatting with me today too. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I have one more
Super
question
nice.
for you. Do you have
Mm.
any advice for aspiring artists?
Oh, I'm looking for that myself. Um, no, I think uh, I reckon make lots of stuff is like making lots of stuff is like super important to like I think we all get into making music or art because we have good taste. And like when you start off, um, there's an Ira Glass bit where he talks about this, where like when you start off, your taste is good enough to know that what you're making isn't that good. And I think the only way to kind of make good enough stuff that meets your standards is making a lot of stuff. And so I reckon like that was the best thing I ever heard when I was like first starting. Was like that actually just like put yourself on a deadline and write 3 songs a week or whatever it is. Like just but as long as you just like get through all of your bad ideas. And I still have to do it. I still have to write 10 bad songs before I write a good one. And so I would yeah, I reckon that's like one of my little mantras. Bringing it backward.